Hey there, ladies. Welcome to our workshop today, getting started with macros. All right, so I'm super excited to be here today. My name is Courtney, and I'm the admin of this group. I'm a certified personal trainer and health coach, and I work with women to help them balance their hormones and their metabolism and help them reach and maintain their body composition goal. So I'm really excited today because what we're going to be talking about is macros. So in today's workshop, we're going to go over what exactly macros are and why they are important if you have a body composition goal that you want to reach. We're also going to be talking about how you can set up MyFitnessPal or any other kind of food tracking app. And also easy way to calculate your caloric needs, which is really important if you have a body composition goal that you want to reach. We'll be also going over how to accurately weigh and measure your food, so that way you know that you're accurate with your food tracking. And finally, we're going to go over the basics of how to log your food in an app like MyFitnessPal. So good, awesome, Natalie, I'm glad that you're here. So I'm really excited to share this information with you because this is a skill that it can be overwhelming at first, but I'm going to break it down step by step, all the way from beginners to where you guys can just start kind of layering on this skill. So this is something that is really helpful because here's the thing, ladies, is if you have a goal that you want to reach, so whether this is building more muscle on your body or if you want to lose body fat, this is a really good skill to develop in order to reach your goal a lot more easier and also more quickly. So I'm really excited to be here and share all of this information with you. So why track macros? So let's go into the gritty of why you would want to do this in the first place. So basically your body composition is going to come down to a correct energy expenditure. So if you want to maintain your weight, then basically you want to be consuming the same amount of calories as you're expending. Okay, that's going to help you maintain your current weight. If you want to build muscle, then what you'll need to do is eat in a slight surplus. So basically you're eating a little bit more energy than your body needs to maintain your current body composition. And finally, I think this is where most women in this group are kind of falling, is fat loss. So fat loss, you're going to have some kind of caloric deficit in place. This is where tracking macros comes in because it's really hard to know how much you're really consuming. So for example, there was a long period of time where I did not track my food, and it wasn't that I wasn't eating healthy. I was actually eating pretty clean foods, but the problem was that I was not paying attention to my portion sizes. I wasn't logging my food, so I had no idea how much energy I was taking in. So even if you do eat a healthy diet, if you want to reach a certain goal, it's really helpful to do the whole calorie and macro tracking, so that way you know exactly what your body is what you're consuming, okay? So that's the first thing. The other reason why you might want to do this type of work is to bring awareness around your current eating habits. So I know for me, I was actually talking to one of my coaching clients the other day, and she mentioned that she noticed that she was eating at noon every day just because it was lunchtime, and this was really regardless if she was hungry or not. So I think food tracking, even if you don't use MyFitnessPal, even if you're just using pen and paper in the beginning, this can be a really good way to kind of bring light to your current eating habits, whether you're doing things like eating on autopilot or eating just because it's mealtime, or things like snacking throughout the day, little nibbles and bites and licks here and there, maybe when you're cooking dinner, things like eating off your kids' plates. This is a really good way to learn how calories are getting into your diet, even just the simple act of logging your food. Another reason why you might want to track your macros is to do things like improve the quality of your diet. This is really big, especially if you're dealing with any kind of digestive issues like bloating or constipation. And also doing things like lowering your carb intake, which is a really great skill. That's a whole other live stream, but we will be talking a little bit about the whole low carb thing and why you might want to consider doing it. But this is a really good way, the whole macro counting thing, that you can start to lower your carb intake. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then finally, if you just want to have better and faster results. Yeah, Natalie. Okay. So yeah, this is something that you can start doing. It's just, even just pen and paper. So we'll be going over all of that. I think it's a really good idea to the first step is really to become aware of where you are now and kind of get a baseline of your current eating habits, and then you can start from there. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive in. So feel free, ladies. We are going to be just going here, and I'm going to share with you 5 steps. I'm going to lead you through step by step how you can start implementing this practice. And it's definitely a skill that you don't have to be perfect with. It's really just about taking, messy action and, just learning from your mistakes and just learning how as you go and just adding on these little layers as you move on. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So step number 1, and feel free to put any questions that you have in the comments, okay? Step number 1 is to just simply start to log your food, okay? So there's several ways that you can do this. For me, I started a long time ago, way before MyFitnessPal. I'm probably showing my age here. But back in the day, I just used a composition book. So I just got like a paper journal and I just started writing out what I ate every day. And that's really a good place to start, especially if you're dealing with a lot of snacking in between meals. Maybe you find yourself, mindlessly reaching for food. You're in these habit loops of snacking or night eating or whatever the case may be. So that's a really good place to start, is just a simple pen and paper type journal. Another thing that you can do is just take pictures of your food. I know a lot of clients that I work with in the coaching space, a lot of times my clients will just start off with just sending me pictures of their meals. So that's another thing you can do. You can start like a little photo journal and you can just take photos of your meals. So I think that's really the main thing. I really want my clients to just start just somehow logging their food. So whether it is pen and paper, taking pictures of their food, and just kind of getting a baseline of where they're at now with their nutrition. Before we go on, back to step number 1. There is one resource I'm going to share with you all. It's called the Daily Nutrition Commitments. Okay, so this is a really good place to start, along with just logging your food, either just like in a journal or just taking photos of your meals. One other thing, and I'm going to share this in the comments as soon as I'm done, the daily nutrition commitments, because here's the thing, ladies, that we need to understand. So I know I say all the time that if you want to lose fat, it's going to come down to having a caloric deficit. But really, what it really is going to take for you to reach your body composition goal is for you to make small changes and be consistent over time, okay? It's not going to be a diet that's going to solve the issue of weight loss. It's really going to be more about learning how to make small changes that feel good, that feel doable, and they don't feel overwhelming. Because here's the thing, ladies, about why a lot of times diets don't work, or why, you just start trying to jump back into tracking your food and trying to do the whole eat less, exercise more thing. The reason why it doesn't work is because if we try to overhaul too many things at once, then we're probably going to get overwhelmed and we're going to feel like, if I can't do this, then I'm not going to do it at all. So that's why it's so important to focus on the little things, okay? Just like making little tiny changes. So that's where the daily nutrition commitments come in. So when I work with my clients, and it doesn't really matter if they're just now starting with me or if maybe they've had several weight loss attempts, it doesn't matter where they are. And in fact, this is something that I do myself. So what you're going to do with the daily nutrition commitments, you pick 3 things, okay, that you're going to focus on every day. And it's going to be a goal that you're going to try to hit every single day. You're going to pick 3 things that are easy, enjoyable, and effective to getting you to your goal, okay? So it just really depends on where you are. So I've been doing this work for a long time. So now mine are kind of advanced, like hitting a certain type of carb goal or maybe a calorie goal, that type of thing. But in the beginning, ladies, I think it's really best just to try to keep it as simple as possible. In fact, I want you to make it so easy that you're almost positive that you can hit that goal each day. So some of the examples that I'll share with you that some of my clients do, it might be a certain water intake goal, okay? And I'm not talking like drink a gallon of water. Like, first of all, most of us don't need that much water. It's really like, okay, say for example, maybe I'm only drinking like 40 or 50 ounces of water a day. So I might have my client set a goal of, hey, do you think we can maybe try to get 60 to 70 ounces of water a day? So make 3 of those every day. Hey, and you know what? If it's only just one of them, that's fine too. But what you want to do is do this consistently every single day. Pick out 3 commitments that you can do to just move that needle forward, because it's really going to be more about making these small changes and showing up every day than it is to just like hop on a low carb diet for a month and just try to use willpower, right? So that's the first step, ladies, is to start in some way getting more awareness around your diet. And that's really going to probably be either journaling about your diet, using just a notebook and just writing down your meals and your snacks, your little nibbles and bites and licks that happen throughout the day, putting that in a notebook, taking pictures, okay, of your meals, and then also implementing the 3 daily nutrition commitments. So what I'm going to do, ladies, I'm going to actually put a screenshot of this worksheet, the 3 daily nutrition commitments, and it has all these great examples that I think you might all find helpful, okay? So if you have any questions about the daily nutrition commitments, put those in the comments. All right, ladies, so we're live here. We are talking about getting started with macros. So basically, macros are 3 things. They're your carbs, your protein, and your fats, okay? So basically what macros are, all foods are going to fall into these 3 buckets, okay? Some are just one of them. Some are maybe a combination. So macro counting is essentially how much carbs, protein, and fats that you are having in your diet in a day, okay? And the reason why this matters is because, it's going to come down to calories. You want to have a correct calorie equation. So basically, like we were talking about earlier, right? If you want to maintain your weight, then you want to essentially eat what you're burning. If you want to lose body fat, what you're going to want to do is have some kind of calorie deficit. So you're taking in less food than you're burning. And then if you want to build muscle, then you'll definitely want to be in a slight surplus, right? So that is part of it. The other part of it is the macros, the amount of proteins, carbs, and fats in your diet. The reason why this matters is because it can affect how you feel. So like, for example, if we're eating like a lot of processed foods that are high in carbohydrates and in like fat, like that combination of high carb, high fat foods, that can cause us to do things like have poor digestion. It can lead to insulin resistance. It can lead to more carb cravings. It can lead to not feeling satiated. So that's why the whole macronutrient thing matters, like how much protein and carbs and fats that you're getting. So yes, calories do matter, and that's probably going to be the bottom line of like where your body composition is. But we also need to remember that our macronutrients, the amounts of carbs, fats, and proteins, can affect our hormone balance. It can also affect things like our hunger, our energy, and also our cravings. So that's why the whole macro counting thing can be really powerful, is because you can start to kind of shift these around to where you have your hunger a little bit more managed, you have your cravings a little bit more under control, you feel better, you have better digestion. So that's why all of this does matter. So we talked about just getting our feet wet with just, using a notebook, implementing those 3 daily commitments. And hey, the good thing about the nutrition commitments, this is something you can keep doing. In fact, I still do it myself, and you just make them a little bit challenging over time. But the second step of macro counting is to just start to do the whole logging thing in a tracking app, okay? So as of now, I might end up switching. I haven't decided because I've put a lot of work into MyFitnessPal, and I even have like tons of tutorials about how you can use it. But as of now, I'm using MyFitnessPal, and I think it's still really easy to use. I still use the free version, and it's really easy and pretty self-explanatory. But the second step of all of this is basically going to MyFitnessPal and setting up an account, okay? So you can do this on your laptop. If you have a smartphone, go ahead and just download the app, because I want it to I want it on your phone to where, you have a good access to it, easy access to it. So that's going to be the second step, okay, is to simply download MyFitnessPal, okay? You can add me as a friend if you like. My username is C Hayes Cocoa Puff, okay? My last name does not have an E in it. I'll put that in the comments as well. And if you like, you can invite me to be a friend and we can see each other's journal. And I can kind of give you a little nudge here and there. But that's going to be the second step, is to start actually logging your food in a fitness or a food tracker such as MyFitnessPal, okay? So what you want to do, don't worry too much about calories or anything like that. We just want to get a baseline of where you're at right now. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to log everything you eat. So including, any beverages, condiments, things like that, snacks, all of those things are going to go into MyFitnessPal. Okay. You're not going to worry so much about the calories or the macros. Literally all we're doing, we just want to kind of see where you're at. Like, where are you averaging with your calories each day? And make sure that you're doing this for 7 consecutive days, including the weekends, just because we usually eat a little bit different on the weekends. So we just want to kind of get a feel of where you're at with your calories, okay? This is a good way to just get a baseline. And it's pretty simple to set up your account. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the whole calorie thing here in a moment, but just simply like going in, and then for each meal, you're going to add food. And then there is a database in MyFitnessPal that has thousands of different foods, okay? Of course, you want to track as accurately as possible, so including things like the brand name. Even better if you can measure, which we'll talk about here in just a second. And then also looking for the little green badge. That just means that it's verified. You just want to try to accurately track as good as you can. I will say, if you do the free version, unfortunately, you used to be able to scan like the barcode of the back of the food, and it would just automatically pull up the information. They took that away from us. I actually just figured that out a couple months ago. That is now on the paid version, but I kind of feel like that's a little bit of a shortcut. I don't know if it's worth the paid version or not, but yeah, just adding food. And here's the other thing that you can do, and this is why you might want to consider doing my group coaching program that's opening up in just a couple weeks, is that I walk you through how to do all of this. So the first month of my group coaching program, I teach you step by step how to implement all of this food tracking and how to track your macros. And I share little tricks like how to create a recipe. So learning how to do things like if you have like a homemade soup, trying to figure out the nutrition information in that. That way you don't have to guess, right? Or try to find another entry that you think might work, which will probably be inaccurate. And I also share things like how to do things like save your meals, so that way you can easily track if it's something that you eat a lot of on a regular basis, and doing things like copying to another day. So there's lots of good tricks of the trade that I share inside my group coaching program, which we'll talk a little bit about here later. All right, ladies. So, hey, if you have any questions about setting up your MyFitnessPal account, put any questions that you might have in the comments. Okay, step number 3. Okay, so you're just going to layer on all of these little steps. Okay, so once you get a little baseline, okay, what you're going to do next is start weighing your food. Okay, and hey, here's the thing. You can start doing this even before, right? This is a good little practice. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to do a quick tutorial about tracking your weighing your food, I should say. So I'm going to show you guys, because this is why it's so important. Like I mentioned earlier, like you can have a pretty healthy diet and still be eating in a surplus, aka you're going over your calorie budget, right? And it can be with delicious things like the keto coconut clusters. This is one of my favorite snacks. And I know from experience not to eat this out of the bag, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys how to measure this, okay? So dry goods, I generally weigh in grams, okay? So, hey guys, get yourself a scale for Christmas, okay? This is like literally just $20 off of Amazon. It's just a digital scale. It uses batteries. It's really easy to use. You're just going to turn it on. And we're going to push unit until we get to grams, okay? All right. I'm just going to put my paper towel down. And I'm going to look at the back here, okay? So this is mostly fat, so we got to be careful about that, okay? Not to say, hey, I love fat, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Fat is your friend if it's good fat, right? 28 grams of this delicious keto coconut clusters is 150 calories, okay? This is why this is important. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to weigh out 28 grams. I'm going to show you how much that is. I'm getting to the bottom of the bag. Okay, a little bit too much. 28, okay. So guys, this is 150 calories right here. Okay, I can easily eat double this, okay, and probably have no freaking idea. This is why it's so important, especially if you're like struggling with reaching your body composition goal. Guys, like even just implementing weighing your food. So that could be a daily nutrition commitment, right? Like, hey, I'm just going to weigh my food and just get real with myself about what I'm actually eating. So guys, that's 150 calories. Like, I guarantee you I'd probably eat a lot more than that a couple weeks ago. Anyway, yeah, I was like, this is why I don't eat out of the bag. So that's how you weigh dry goods. I usually just put it like on a paper towel or something. But yeah, definitely want to weigh out your dry goods. So dry goods are going to be anything like brown rice, oats, any kind of nuts. Guys, it's really important because like I said, you know, like even healthy food, like you got to be concerned not just with about what you're eating, but how much you're eating, right? And how you're eating. That's a whole other... We have a workshop coming up about mindful eating I'm really excited about. Okay, we're going to talk about weighing meat. So this is important too because here's the thing. Like most women, like I would say most of my clients struggle with getting enough protein in their diet. So even if you're not really concerned about your body composition, I do feel like it's a good practice to do just to make sure that you're getting enough protein because it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm eating 6 ounces of protein. It's like you're only eating 3, right? So I'm going to show you how to tar. So basically measure something in a bowl or a plate and still be able to take out the weight of the bowl or the plate that you're using. For meat, I generally weigh in ounces and pounds. So I'm going to change this to ounces. All right, I'm going to put this bowl down. I'm going to tar it out. So that just takes out the weight of the bowl, okay? I'm going to put in my leftover pork tenderloin. Okay, 5 ounces. Here's a little trick I'm going to share with y'all. This is cooked, okay? This is cooked. This is not 5 ounces. This is actually 7 ounces, okay? And let me explain why. I actually did not know this until like a year or so ago. Maybe a year and a half ago. I can't remember. But anyway, always weigh your meat raw, okay, if possible. Because all the information in MyFitnessPal, on the nutrition labels, everything is weighed raw, okay? Here's the thing, because I totally get this because most of the time for me, just the way I cook and the way I like kind of portion things out is a lot easier for me to weigh cooked. But do you see how, if you did not know this, because the reason why this isn't correct is because when you cook meat, you lose moisture. So water comes out of it while it cooks. Who knows exactly how much it is, but everything I've researched is about 25%. So there's a formula, okay? So if you weigh your meat cooked, here's what you want to do. You weigh it in pounds and ounces, okay? Once you have the ounces, you divide that by 0.75, okay? So this is about 7 ounces of pork, not 5, right? We take 5, we divide by 0.75, and we get 7 ounces, right? So when I go into MyFitnessPal to log, I'm going to log this as 7 ounces, not 5. So that's one way that people kind of get stuck is that they're just not accurately weighing their food or they're not tracking correctly, okay? So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Liquids, I usually just use a liquid measuring cup. Oils. Measure your oils, guys. Don't just like blindly dump oil in the pan, okay? Because 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. Again, yeah, it's a healthy food, but Can you see how that could keep you stuck if you're just like, you're dumping in more olive oil than you think? So I always use just like my measuring spoons for things like oil, okay? So if you guys have any questions about how to weigh and measure your food, let me know in the comments. So I have a lot of people that talk about using measuring cups. Here's my thoughts on them. I feel like this is way better than nothing, okay? So like measuring like your dry goods with measuring cups. I think that's fine if you don't have a scale, but go ahead and get a scale, because in my last live stream, I think that was last week, I did a little experiment about protein powder and how it just says like 1 scoop. Well, when I dumped my protein powder on the scale, it actually weighed more than the serving size was. So that's why I don't really like to use cups, because I feel like they're just not 100% accurate. But I'd rather you use the cups than just eyeball, okay? All right, guys, if you have any questions, let me know. But I know a lot of this kind of seems a little tedious. But here's the thing, it's really just if you're struggling with reaching your body composition goal, this is when you want to start to kind of go back to these things. Because again, even if you're eating really healthy, you're making great choices. If you're overeating even a little bit, that can keep you in a surplus. And that can cause you to hit some plateaus along the way with your weight loss. So, number 4, let's go over some macro ranges. Okay. So this is kind of where it gets a little dicey, but hey, stick with me here. Put any comments you might have in below, okay? So macro ranges. So we already know, right? We talked a little bit earlier about how your macros are your carbs, your proteins, and your fats. And basically, you can look at a gram standpoint or a percentage. I generally look more at a percentage. I think it's a little bit easier because basically what we do our you'll take your calorie goal, right? And then what you're going to do, you're going to make percentages out of that, right? So let's kind of go back before we get more into macro ranges. Let's kind of go over calories just real quick. So what you'll want to do, right, we've already started with our daily nutrition commitments. We downloaded MyFitnessPal. We've tracked for 7 days. We started weighing and measuring our food, right? So what we want to do, we want to come up with our calorie goal and our macro ranges. So let's talk about the calories first. So for the calories, the easy way to do this is to just go off of MyFitnessPal. So whenever you set up your account, it's going to ask you a lot of questions about your current weight, your activity level, all of those things, okay? And it's going to spit out a number, all right? So to me, that's going to be the easiest way to do this. If you join my group coaching program, I actually teach you how to do this myself, and then I also help my clients with the math and all of that. I personally like my formula. It's the formula that NSCA uses, my personal trainer organization. It's scientifically backed. It's very, very as accurate as it can be. But it's still going to be an estimate at the end of the day. But it's very, very reliable, and that's what I use. There is also like calculators online. Let me see if I can think of Vanessa Spina. She's got a really good calculator on her website. I believe it's still Ketogenic Girl, ketogenicgirl.com. She's got a really good calculator for figuring out your caloric needs. But the easy way to do it is just do it on MyFitnessPal. Just go through the prompts. If you already have an account, make sure that you're checking in every now and then, because here's the thing, like if your body size has changed, if your physical activity has changed, you definitely want to go in and change that every now and then, okay? So, because yeah, sometimes your caloric needs are going to change a little bit. If you already have an account, I believe if you go to goals, if you go to the 3-dot menu at the very bottom on mobile, and you go to goals, I believe you can actually recalculate all your calories there. I think it says calories and macros. Maybe it's just calories. Let me know if you have any questions about that if you can't find that. But make sure that you're keeping that up to date. I think that's the easiest way to get a baseline. It'll ask you if you want to maintain your weight, gain muscle, or lose fat. So that should be a good stepping stone, a good starting point as far as where your calories are. Here's the thing though, okay? So let's go back to step 2 where you just got done tracking your 7 days, okay? And you notice that maybe you're eating like on average like 2,600 calories a day, but my Fitness Pal says, hey, you need to eat 1,700 calories a day in order to lose weight. Here's the thing. I feel like jumping from 2,600 calories a day to 17, that's kind of severe. So this is why you want to get a baseline, okay? Because some of you guys might need to kind of step down to that, right? So if you're like way over your calorie goal, what you can do, just start making little changes. Just take off 100 calories this week, okay? So instead of 2,600 calories, I'm going to make some little tweaks here and there, and I'm going to try to drop it down to 2,700, okay? Or 2,500, right? You're going to keep doing that every week. So maybe shaving off about 100 calories every 1 to 2 weeks until you can get down to that 1,600 calorie goal. Again, ladies, the reason why a lot of us struggle with weight loss is because we try to do too much at once, okay? Like slow and steady is always going to win. I know our brains are like, that's not going to be enough, or that's going to take forever, but I promise you, this is the easiest way to do this, okay? Like, this is like a whole process, and it's really a journey. So the best way is to simply log for 7 days, see where you're at, and if you need to, make little tiny goals in order to get to that goal caloric intake, okay? Like, you could totally do this. And what's great is that you're still probably going to lose weight because you're still creating some kind of deficit, right? You're still eating a little bit less than you were. So even though this is going to be a slower process, I feel like it's going to be so much easier for you to stick to. And that's really what it's going to take in order to lose weight and keep it off, is being consistent with these things instead of like trying to overhaul everything, because it might work for a while, but then if you have a shit day, then you're probably just going to say screw it and start going back to old habits and old, patterns. So always just take it, like make it like a transition, not a diet, right? This is all about just making little tiny steps, so that way it becomes easier over time. It really does. So that's the easiest way to figure out your calories, okay? Just do it on MyFitnessPal. Macro ranges, okay? So again, macros are your carbs, your proteins, and your fats, okay? So here's where I tell most people to start, okay? The best place to start, because most people are going to be around 30, 40, 50% carbohydrate. I would say most of my clients, when they start working with me, they're usually around 30 to 50% carbs, okay? So here's what I suggest. 30 to 40% of your overall calories coming from carbohydrates. 20 to 30% of your calories coming from protein. And 30 to 40% of your overall daily calories coming from fat. That's usually a pretty good place to start for most people, because the carbs are still a little high. And what we can do, we can start to kind of transition, okay? So once you have your calories in MyFitnessPal, what you're going to want to do, you're going to go to goals, okay? You do need to change this, because MyFitnessPal is going to default to something like, I think it's like 50% carbs or something like that. So if you go back to goals, you can actually manually change your macros, okay? 20 to 30% protein, 30 to 40% carb, 30 to 40% fat. And I might go ahead and post these macros in the comments, okay? This is a good place to start, all right? And of course, yeah, can you go up or down? Absolutely. Low carb macros, okay? 20 to 30% protein, 20 to 30% carbs. So notice it's a little bit lower. And your fats are going to go a little bit higher because of that decrease in carbohydrates, 40 to 50% fat, okay? This is a good goal to shoot for, especially if you're a woman over the age of 40, where we just don't process carbs the same way. If you're having issues with bloating, any kind of digestive issues, if you're insulin resistant, or if you're having issues with managing your blood sugar, okay? So low carb is a really good place to try to work towards. So what you want to do is gradually decrease your carb intake by about 10 to 20 grams every week, okay? So for example, if I'm eating 200 carbs a day, then what I'm going to want to do is this week I might drop it down to 180 to 190 grams, okay? And so on. You're just going to do that every week, okay? Keto macros are a little bit different. This is what I usually do. I actually do more of a high protein keto approach. I'm not going to get into that today, but classic keto, which is great for if you want to shift from using carbs as fuel to fat, which is great. You can actually use your stored body fat as fuel. So that's a really good thing if weight loss is the goal. Going keto also will help you with insulin resistance. So if you are pre-diabetic or have type 2 diabetes or insulin resistant, this is a fantastic protocol to use in order to repair your metabolism. And also if you want to get in a ketogenic state, like we were talking about just a second ago, where you're using more fats instead of carbs as fuel. Okay, so keto macros is going to be very low carb. So it's 5 to 10% carbs. Protein is going to be lower, about 15 to 25%. And there's a reason for this. The reason is because you can do this with fat, but your body can actually take protein and change it into sugar. So if you're doing a low carb protocol and you're eating a lot of protein in the beginning, your body can actually take that protein and turn it into glucose. So not that that's a bad thing, but generally if you do a keto diet, getting into a ketogenic state is generally the goal, right? Because you get the benefits of burning your own body fat. You also have the benefits of hunger management. Like keto actually is like, it literally will put the brakes on your hunger and cravings. So that's why I like it a lot, because my hunger was like out of control just a year or two ago, and doing the whole low carb thing has like changed everything. Is definitely has corrected my appetite. So it's a super high fat diet. So your protein is going to be a little bit lower, 15 to 25%. Your carbs are about 5 to 10%, and your fat macros are going to be 60 to 75%. So I'm going to put all of those in the comments, and like I said, guys, just start like maybe 20 to 30% protein. And if you want to, what you can do, you can start off with protein. So a good rule of thumb in the beginning, if you're just trying to like get started with this work, there's, I'm not going to share the complicated one. Let's just share the easy one. So here's the easy way to figure out how much protein you need. You either do 1 gram per pound of lean mass. So, hey, if you're a personal training client, I can easily do this for you, because all I need to know is your body fat percentage, which most of you guys do body composition readings with me. So I can tell you what that number would be. So basically 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So that's just like your lean mass, excluding your fat mass. Or a very simple way you can do this is 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if you have like a body weight goal of 140 pounds, then your goal would be 140 grams of protein a day, okay? And of course, all of this is very subjective. If you guys have any questions about setting your macros, let me know. But I highly recommend, if it's been a while, I would definitely say, and your carbs are a little bit higher right now, I would say 30 to 40% carb is a good place to start, about 20 to 30% protein, and 30 to 40% fat. And then from there, what you can do, like I said, guys, is all about making small little changes. What you can do over time, you can start to shift to those low carb macros, or if you decide to do the whole keto diet. But I think most women do really good on low carb, maybe not even necessarily keto. I personally like keto because of, you know, the benefits that you get from being in a ketogenic state, like the hunger management. But most women can even see a really good result with improved digestion, weight loss, more energy, improved quality of diet, which can help you on so many levels with just like a low carb protocol, to where your fat's a little bit higher. Your carbs are definitely a lot more managed, and your protein is going to be moderate, okay? But that's going to be usually around 50 to 100 grams of carbs a day is a low carb protocol, versus keto, which is a lot lower than that. That's going to be about 20 to 30 total grams of carbs a day, okay? So if you guys have any questions about protein recommendations or macros, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to help you out there, but I'll probably go ahead and post them, okay? So we have one more step, step number 5, working towards your goal calories and macros gradually if needed. So we kind of just talked about that, right? So again, starting off with figuring out your calorie needs. So you're going to do that in MyFitnessPal, okay? Set your macros and take a look at those macros. So on MyFitnessPal, if you click on the top where it says at the very top of mobile, it has like your calories, your goal, and then it has calories consumed, and then like the remainder. If you click on that, that's where your macro wheel is. So if you click on it, it's like a little pie chart, right? And it's going to show you how much carbs, protein, and fats that you've had in that day. So what you want to do is look at that, right? So take a look at that every week and see like, hey, am I staying within 5% of my macros? Am I staying about 100 calories plus or minus of my calorie goal? That is your goal ultimately. So if you're not hitting that, maybe you need to kind of back off a little bit. So say that you're consistently not hitting your carbs, okay? Like say you're going over your carbs like every single day by like 10%. So, okay, so if you have your carbs set at 30, maybe you go up to 40 for now, right? And then you can start kind of gradually going down. So it's all about changing and just trying to make it to where you can hit all of those goals. So macros, I want you to try to hit within 5%. And it might take a little bit of tweaking because here's the thing, guys, is that I like to eat protein. So I personally like to do a higher protein approach with keto. It's just going to depend. Some people do pretty good with carbs. Like I have a coaching client. She's not really having a lot of issues with carb tolerance, even in her 40s. So I'm like, you know what? I don't really see any problem with having 30 to 40% carbs as long as you're liking the results that you get. And she's like, yeah, like I like eating carbs and I don't really want to eat more fat. So there's that, right? Problem solved. So a lot of it's going to be your preference. A lot of it is going to be just making sure that you're not making this too difficult and just making sure that you're starting where you're at and then knowing that you can always change your macros later. You can always, gradually shift your carbs a little bit lower as you start upping your protein and or your fat. So don't feel like it's something like, oh, I have to just do keto macros like tomorrow. It's like, no, this is very much a process. And guys, like I said, this is why I'm breaking this step by step down for you, because it's all about just starting where you are and just developing the skill as you go. So yeah, making any changes to your macros and continuing to do things like make swaps, and that's the thing. Like you'll start to kind of figure out once you start doing this work, if it's like the carb thing, if you need to lower your carbs, there's all sorts of swaps you can do, right? Like we can do things like do zucchini noodles instead of pasta. We can do, instead of tacos, we can make a taco bowl or a taco salad, right? There's all sorts of low carb swaps that we can do now in order to get that carb intake down a little bit and also to make a little dent in our calories. So, all right, ladies. So I think that's about it today. We're just going to do a quick recap, and I'm going to let you know a little bit about my group coaching program before we call it a good day. So thanks so much for being here. So step number 1, we start simple, right? We start implementing the daily nutrition commitments. This is something that I do myself. I have all my clients do. You pick 3 things that are easy, enjoyable, and effective to getting you to your body composition goal, okay? You make it easy enough because at the end of the day, I want you to be able to check that off, okay? Because it feels good, and that's going to help you gain some trust with yourself. You're going to be like, yes, I can do this. I'm so capable of making these changes because I know you are. So start there, okay? Maybe you start kind of like dabbling with a little journaling. Maybe you have like a composition book where you're writing in all your meals. Anytime that you have a lick or a nibble, write it down, okay? Step number 2, you start to download MyFitnessPal, you set up your account, and you start logging your food for 7 days. You're not trying to stick to a calorie budget. You just want to see where you are. Because again, ladies, if you are like going way over on your calories and MyFitnessPal tells you, oh, you have to eat 1,300 calories, what you want to do is not just start cutting those calories severely. What you want to do is step it down, right? So maybe you just try to shave 100, 200 calories off, okay? And just start to gradually work down until you meet that caloric intake. But yeah, definitely do that for 7 days, including weekends, that we have a good baseline where you're at, okay? Step number 3, you're going to start weighing and measuring your food. Get a scale, okay? At the very least, guys, yeah, sure. But like, the whole eyeballing thing, I think it's a good skill to have, but it's just not going to be super accurate. In fact, I suck at it. And most nutritionists and health coaches and trainers suck at it too. So Eyeballing is okay, sure, if you like the results you're getting, but if you're trying to, add some bulk with muscle, or if you want to lose body fat, you definitely want to have a scale, okay? And it's not something you have to do forever. It's just something you just want to kind of make sure that you're keeping your portions in check, okay? Do not forget the little thing about meat, okay? If you weigh it cooked, it's not going to be accurate. So what you want to do is, if you're weighing meat, make sure that you divide that by 0.75 so you can get the accurate weight on that, okay? So you start weighing all your food, including condiments, things like that, okay? Oils, nuts, all those things. Step number 4, we talked about how to get your calorie goal. So how you can do that on MyFitnessPal, and we talked about those suggested macro ranges. Remember, ladies, that this is very subjective and it's going to take a little bit of tweaking. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to write those macro ranges in the comments, so that way you kind of have something to go off of, okay? Carb intake. So we talked about that. So we're going to start with the good start macros, right? If you're someone who wants to lower their carb intake, what we want to do is make sure that we are doing that slowly as well, okay? Just like the calories. So if you find that your calorie or your carbs are a little high, what you'll want to do, cut it down by about 10 to 20 grams a day, and just do that every week until you start getting down to those macros that align with you, okay? One thing about that, don't forget this, okay? As you lower your carbs, you need to up your fat, okay? Don't fear fat. Fat is going to be the missing ingredient, because I have so many women that come up to me and they're like, I hated keto because I was miserable. I'm like, it's because you didn't do it right. Because if you do low carb, you don't just cut out carbs. You have to switch it out with something, right? So again, keto is actually a very high fat diet. So once you start cutting those carbs, make sure you're adding things like nuts, oils, avocados, and animal fats, right, to your diet. Make sure that you have something that you're replacing those missing carbs with, okay? Because otherwise you're probably going to be pretty miserable and not feel great, okay? And then finally, step number 5, you're going to work toward your calorie and macro goal gradually as needed, okay? It just depends on where you are with this journey. If it's been a long time or this is your first attempt, it might take a little more transitioning. If you're someone who just, you kind of done this work already, maybe you don't have too much to go, then it's probably going to be a little bit easier, right? But you just start where you are and make sure that you're just, making adjustments as you go, okay? So that's it for today, ladies. So I wanted to come on here and share this with you because this is such a good skill to know and develop, especially if you're having issues getting to the body composition that you want, that you desire. A lot of it's just going to be making sure that you're not, under eating, overeating, and all of those things. And plus, it's really easy to forget about those little licks and nibbles and bites throughout the day that really can add up to hundreds of calories a day. So I did want to let you know that here in about, I think it's like, oh my gosh, I think it's less than 2 weeks. I believe it's a week from Sunday, the doors to the Metabolic Reboot Camp are going to open. So this is my group coaching program that I love teaching. So here's the kind of the breakdown. Month number 1, I'm going to walk you through how to do all of this stuff step by step. So we talk about how to set up everything in MyFitnessPal. I give you a good formula to how you can calculate your calorie goals and needs. And I teach you step by step how to do things like weigh your food. And I also give you lots of shortcuts to where it's not going to take you forever to do all this. You're going to learn how to do this, and you're going to just be able by the end of the month to do this in just a few minutes a day, right, for each day. Month 2, I actually walk you through how you can do things like dial in your nutrition with nutrient timing, how to structure your meals, how to take an intuitive approach if you don't want to do all this food tracking, right? So that's month number 2, is a lot of meal planning, meal prepping, and how to structure those meals to where you can reach and maintain your body composition goal. And finally, month 3, I walk you through how to transition to a low carb diet. Again, transition, ladies. This isn't about January 1st. We're going to start like drastically reducing our carbs and doing all this business. No, that's not how we're going to do it. we're going to do it in a step-by-step way. And that's exactly how. We start by cutting out our carbs 10 to 20 grams a day. And we add it with awesome, fun keto foods. Like keto's actually really delicious. So, you know, beef and chicken thighs and low-carb veggies and butter and lots of yummy fats, macadamia nuts, pesto, avocado, guacamole. Like, it's so flavorful, ladies. Like, it doesn't have to be depriving at all. So month 3, I'm always really excited to teach ladies how they can start to lower their carb intake, whether they just want to do a low carb approach, whether they want to do a keto approach, wherever they are. And hey, here's a great thing. If you have hormone imbalance symptoms such as PCOS, or if you have Hashimoto's or any kind of hypothyroidism, what's great is that I know all about how you can tweak this to where you're not putting a lot of stress on your body, because you really have to be careful if you have hormone imbalance symptoms, because stress to the body, such as chronic dieting, doing too much intermittent fasting, going too low with your carbs or your calories, can actually exacerbate low thyroid issues. So that can be a really big problem when, you know, we're in our 40s and we're not happy with our body composition, and we start just dieting, and we're actually making our hormone health even worse. So I really want to let you all know that I've done a lot of studying. I have all of these certifications. And in fact, I'm doing another one right now about female metabolism and hormones. So I want you all to know that I can help you if you have any issues with like hypothyroidism, anything like that. I can help you figure all of this stuff out for you, okay? So the doors are going to open December 18th. I'm going to have the doors open for 2 weeks to join. But here's the thing, ladies, is that I'm going to only take 25 ladies. I have 25 spots, okay? And the reason why I want to keep it small is because I want you all to feel like you have access to me, which is one thing in a group coaching program that you usually don't have, is you don't have that like support from other people, like the coach. So I do want to make this small. So I'm going to put the cap on 25 ladies. So that way, you know, you guys have access to me. We're going to have like bi-weekly group coaching calls, and you'll also have messaging with me too. So I'm really excited. If you're interested, make sure that you reach out to me. You can direct message me, or you can also just put your name, you know, hey, me, in the comments. That way I know you're interested, and I will definitely let you know as soon as the doors are open, so that way you get in, okay? But yeah, ladies, I do feel like all of this stuff that we talked about today, I do think that this is stuff that you can figure out on your own, but it's always good to go to work with a coach for, you know, any questions that you might have, any personalization that you might want to do. And just really having that extra support and accountability to keep showing up and putting one foot in front of the other. So I'm really excited. I'm going to run this twice next year. So we're going to have a session in January. So we'll be in the group January, February, March. And then I'm going to take April off to promote for the next group. And then I'll have my second session May, June, July. Okay. So spots are limited, and I will say that it is way cheaper than working with me one-on-one. So, all right, ladies, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to post all of those goodies in the comments, and hey, make sure you post any questions that you might have in the comments below. All right, ladies, I'm cheering you on, and I will talk with you soon. All right, have a good day, ladies.